First contact gone wrong. The message flashed across Commander Elena Reyes' central console with a cheerful chime, completely at odds with its ominous content. Congratulations, you have just declared war on the galaxy's deadliest species. Prepare for immediate confrontation. Elena stared at the words, her hand frozen above the navigation panel of her exploration vessel, the Horizon. The bridge fell silent as the 5 other crew members turned to look at their commander. That's not standard protocol, Lieutenant Kai Jung finally said, breaking the silence. Run a diagnostic. Is this some kind of system error? Elena called to the ship's eye. The artificial intelligence's smooth voice filled the bridge. No errors detected, Commander. The message originated from coordinates beyond our charted space. Analysis indicates advanced encryption protocols unlike anything in our database. Elena brushed a strand of dark hair from her face and took a deep breath. Just 12 hours ago, the Horizon had been on a routine expedition to catalog resources on the uninhabited planet designated HC 294. They'd discovered an unusual artifact buried beneath the surface, a perfectly smooth black cube that defied all attempts at analysis. After bringing it aboard for further study, it had suddenly activated, emitting a pulse of energy that had momentarily knocked out their systems. And now this. What does it mean we declared war? Asked Dr. Nadia Okafor, their xenobiologist. We haven't encountered any sentient species in this sector. There's nothing here but dust and rocks. Apparently there is, Elena replied grimly. Full tactical scan of the surrounding space. Maximum range. Scanning? Araya responded. After a few seconds that felt like an eternity, the AI continued. Commander, a vessel has just emerged from what appears to be a spatial anomaly at coordinates 227.58 by 44.21. Size estimate places it at approximately 3 times our mass. Energy readings are unprecedented. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a distant but rapidly approaching ship. Its design was unlike anything Elena had ever seen, an asymmetrical construct of gleaming metal that seemed to bend light around it, with no visible propulsion system. That's impossible, Chief Engineer Marcus Chen whispered. Nothing can accelerate that fast. The G-forces would tear any ship apart. They're hailing us. Communications Officer Layla Hassan announced, her voice tight with tension. Elena squared her shoulders. On screen. The view screen shifted, and Elena found herself looking at what could only be described as a nightmare. The being on the screen had no eyes that she could discern, just a series of bioluminescent patterns flowing across a chitinous face. Multiple limbs moved with unsettling precision in the background. Human vessel, the being spoke, its voice resonating not through the speakers but somehow directly in their minds. You have awakened the Voidwalkers after our long dormancy. The signal you transmitted constitutes a formal declaration of hostilities according to the ancient pact. Prepare to be boarded and evaluated. Wait, Elena said quickly, fighting to keep her voice steady. There's been a misunderstanding. We didn't intend to transmit any signal. We're explorers, not warriors. The being's pattern shifted, creating what Elena somehow intuited was an expression of surprise. Ignorance does not nullify the pact, the Voidwalker stated. The cube of awakening was sealed away for a reason. By activating it, you have claimed the mantle of the destroyers who came before. We have slept for millennia, waiting for this moment. Elena's mind raced. The destroyers? We don't know anything about them. We're humans from Earth, a planet thousands of light years from here. The ship shuddered as a beam of energy from the alien vessel locked onto them. We are aware of your species, humans, the Voidwalker continued. Your biological patterns match the prophecies. You cannot escape evaluation. Security Chief Damon Rivera moved closer to Elena. Commander, we need to get out of here. Our weapons won't even scratch that thing. Elena nodded. Prepare for emergency jump. Maximum speed. Computing coordinates. HFY responded. Warning. Alien vessel is generating an unknown field that may interfere with our drive systems. We just need a moment, Alina said, then addressed the alien again. What exactly is this evaluation? Maybe we can resolve this peacefully. The Voidwalker's pattern swirled faster. Peace was never an option once the cube was activated. The evaluation is simple. If you are truly the destroyer's returned, you must be eliminated. If not, then we must understand how you came to possess their technology. The ship lurched violently, throwing Elena against her console. They've caught us in some kind of tractor beam, Marcus reported, frantically working his controls. Our engines are at maximum, but we're being pulled toward them. Elena's mind raced through their options, which were rapidly diminishing. Running was impossible. Their weapons would be useless against a civilization capable of such technology. That left only one choice, one that went against all her training. Cut the engines, she ordered. Commander? Rivera questioned, disbelief evident in his voice. Cut them. We're wasting fuel. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already. Elena straightened her uniform and faced the view screen. We'll let them board. It's our only chance to explain. With all due respect, Commander, that's insane, Rivera protested. We don't know what they'll do to us. We don't, Elena agreed. But I know what happens if we keep fighting. We lose. Sometimes surrender is the best strategy. The crew fell silent as the horizon was pulled inexorably toward the massive alien vessel. The Voidwalker on the screen observed them impassively. A wise decision, it communicated. Resistance would have been unpleasant. As they drew closer, Elena could see the true scale of the alien ship. It was vast beyond comprehension, with sections that seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. HFY, Elena said quietly. Begin recording and transmitting all data back to Earth on a secure channel. Encrypt using Protocol Omega. Transmission initiated, HFY confirmed softly. However, there appears to be some form of interference. The alien ship loomed larger on their screens. Sections of its hull began to shift and reconfigure, opening what appeared to be a docking bay large enough to swallow the horizon whole. Commander, Layla called out, I'm detecting thousands of life signs aboard that vessel. Various species, not just these Voidwalkers. Belina frowned. Prisoners. Unclear, Layla replied. But their vital patterns are stable. They don't appear to be in distress. As the horizon was pulled into the cavernous docking bay, Alina saw rows upon rows of ships. Many different designs, some seemingly ancient, others more modern. A museum of spacecraft from across the galaxy. They've been doing this for a very long time, Kai observed quietly. The docking bay sealed behind them, and gravity shifted as artificial fields took hold of their ship. With a gentle thud, the horizon settled onto a platform. Life support readings are nominal, Marcus reported. Atmosphere outside is breathable for humans. Temperature 22 degrees Celsius. Elena nodded. All right. Dr. Okafor, Lieutenant Jung, you're with me. We'll meet these Voidwalkers and try to sort this out. Rivera, you have command. If something happens to us, do whatever you need to protect the crew. Commander, Rivera began, but Elena cut him off. That's an order, Chief. The airlock cycled open with a hiss, revealing a delegation of 3 Voidwalkers waiting on a platform outside. Up close, they were even more alien, towering insectoid creatures with exoskeletons that seemed to shimmer between solid matter and something else entirely. Their limbs moved with precise, almost mechanical motions. Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding but her face composed. I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Exploration Vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to resolve this misunderstanding. The central Voidwalker's patterns shifted, and its voice resonated in her mind. I am Observer Tech Lauren of the Voidwalker Continuum. There is no misunderstanding, human. You have awakened us, And now you must face the consequences of that action. What consequences, exactly? Elena pressed. Follow was the only response as the Voidwalkers turned and began moving across the platform. Elena exchanged glances with her officers, then nodded. They followed the aliens deeper into the massive ship, through corridors that seemed to defy conventional geometry, spaces that stretched and contracted in impossible ways. They passed chambers containing artifacts from countless civilizations, technologies unlike anything humans had ever developed. In other areas, they glimpsed what appeared to be members of other species, going about various tasks. Not prisoners, Elena realized, but residents. Finally, they entered a vast chamber dominated by a central platform. On it rested the black cube they had found on HC 294, now pulsing with internal light. This is the Cube of Awakening, Sekloran explained. One of 7 created by the destroyers as a means to signal their return. For 50,000 years, we have waited, slumbering in the void between stars, for this moment. But who are these destroyers? Elena asked. And why do you think we're connected to them? The Voidwalkers' pattern slowed, forming a more stable configuration. The destroyers were the most advanced species this galaxy has ever known, Sekloran explained. They conquered 1,000 worlds and exterminated any who opposed them. When they finally faced defeat at the hands of an alliance of all other sentient species, they did not surrender. They simply vanished. But they left behind warnings that they would return. The cube pulsed brighter, projecting a holographic image into the air. Elena gasped as she recognized the figures depicted, unmistakably human. This can't be right, she breathed. Humans have only been spacefaring for a few centuries. We've barely left our own star system in meaningful numbers. And yet, Sekloran replied, your genetic pattern is a 99.7% match for the destroyers. Your physical form, your brain structure, even your technological development path follows the same trajectory. Elena shook her head. There must be some explanation. Convergent evolution, perhaps, or... She was interrupted as the cube suddenly flared with brilliant light. The hologram shifted, showing a star map of the galaxy with a single point highlighted, Earth. The cube has completed its analysis of your vessel's database, Sekloran stated. It has confirmed what we suspected. Your homeworld is located precisely where the destroyers originated. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. That's impossible, she whispered, but even as she said it, connections began forming in her mind. The mysterious gaps in human archaeological records. The unexplained leaps in technological development throughout history. The persistent myths of ancient astronauts that appeared in cultures worldwide. What if, she began, her voice barely audible, what if we are their descendants? But that doesn't make us the same as them. We don't remember any of this history. Sekloran moved closer, towering over Elena. And that is precisely why we face a dilemma. Are you truly the destroyers returned, with memories wiped to infiltrate the galaxy once more? Or are you innocent descendants, unaware of your heritage? The answer will determine whether you live or die, Commander Elena Reyes, and potentially the fate of your entire species. Elena looked up at the alien being, suddenly understanding the gravity of her situation. She wasn't just fighting for her crew anymore. She was fighting for humanity's very existence. How do we prove ourselves? She asked, her voice finding its strength again. How do we show you we're not these destroyers you fear? Sekloran's patterns formed what Elena somehow knew was the equivalent of a grim smile. That, the Voidwalker said, is the right question. The human factor. Elena and her team were escorted to what appeared to be living quarters, sparse but comfortable enough, with strange furnishings that adjusted themselves to better accommodate human physiology. You will remain here until the tribunal convenes, Sekloran informed them. You may communicate with your vessel, but any attempt to leave this area will be considered hostile action. After the Voidwalkers departed, Elena contacted the horizon. Rivera, status report. We're secure for now, Commander. Rivera's voice came through her communicator. They've placed some kind of field around the ship, but they haven't attempted to board. HFY is still trying to analyze their technology with limited success. Keep working on it, Elena instructed. And see if you can find anything in our databases about these destroyers. The resemblance to humans can't be coincidental. Dr. Okafor had been unusually quiet since their meeting with the Voidwalkers. Now she spoke up, her voice thoughtful. Commander, what if they're right? What if humans are somehow descended from these destroyers? That's a big leap, Nadia, Kai responded. Is it? She challenged. Think about it. Humans have always wondered why we've never encountered other intelligent life. What if it's because our ancestors already did and destroyed them? What if Earth was a refuge, a place to restart after some catastrophic defeat? Elena frowned. That's speculation. We need facts. Actually, Araya's voice came through Elena's communicator. Dr. Okafor's hypothesis aligns with some anomalies in human evolutionary history. There are several unexplained jumps in our development that geneticists haven't been able to account for. That doesn't make us genocidal conquerors, Elena argued. Whatever these destroyers were, that's not us now. Then we need to prove it, Kai said. But how do you prove the absence of something? How do we show we don't have some hidden destroyer nature waiting to emerge? Elena paced the room, analyzing their options. Araya, what's the status of the artifact? The cube. It appears to be interfacing with the Voidwalker systems. Energy signatures indicate substantial data transfer. Can you intercept any of it? Negative, Commander. Their encryption is beyond my capabilities. Elena stopped pacing suddenly. Wait, if the cube has been analyzing our databases, it might have accessed our cultural archives too. Our literature, our history, our arts. Our wars, Kai added grimly. Yes, Elena acknowledged. But also our peace treaties, our humanitarian efforts, the times we chose cooperation over conflict. A chime sounded, and the door to their quarters slid open. A different Voidwalker entered, this one smaller than Sekloran, its carapace a deeper blue with slower-moving light patterns. I am Nexus Guide Vortellen, it communicated. The tribunal has advanced its timetable. You will come now. As they followed Vortellen through the labyrinthine corridors, Elena noticed that they were passing through areas they hadn't seen before. Sections where members of various alien species worked alongside Voidwalkers on projects she couldn't begin to comprehend. I thought the Voidwalkers were at war with other species, she commented. Not war, Vortellen corrected. Protection. After the destroyers, the remaining civilizations were vulnerable. The Voidwalkers became guardians, preserving what remained and watching for the destroyers' return. These other beings, Elena gestured to a group of willowy, four-armed aliens working on what appeared to be a star chart. They're allies. They are the preserved, Vortellen explained. Descendants of species nearly eradicated by the destroyers. They seek refuge with us. Elena's mind raced with this new information. The implications were staggering. An entire hidden network of civilizations, operating beyond human knowledge, all united by their fear of the destroyers, of humans. They entered a vast circular chamber with tiered seating surrounding a central platform. Representatives of at least a dozen different species occupied the seats, all watching intently as Elena and her team were led to the center. Above them, the cube hovered, still pulsing with internal light. 5 senior Voidwalkers sat on a raised dais, with Tekloran at the center. The Tribunal of Continuity is now in session. Tekloran's voice resonated through the chamber. We gather to determine the nature of the human threat and our response to it. Elena stepped forward. We are not a threat. We are explorers, scientists. Silence. Another Voidwalker interrupted. The cube will reveal the truth. It has already analyzed your species' history. The cube's pulsing intensified, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic projections, Scenes from human history flickering by in rapid succession. Wars, genocides, environmental destruction, but also moments of compassion, scientific breakthroughs, artistic achievements. We see conflict, a third Voidwalker observed. Violence, the hallmarks of destroyer genetics. Show me a sentient species without conflict, Elena challenged. Violence isn't unique to humans. The pattern is consistent, Sekloran stated. Your species fights amongst itself, just as the destroyers fought among their own before turning outward. It is only a matter of time. Elena felt desperation rising. They were being judged on their worst moments, with no context, no understanding of the full complexity of human nature. You're missing something fundamental, she insisted. Yes, we fight. Yes, we can be destructive. But that's not all we are. The cube's projections shifted, showing scenes of Earth, its diverse ecosystems, its myriad cultures. Your planet still bears scars from your civilization, a fourth Voidwalker noted. Yes, Elena agreed. But look closer. Look at our trajectory. She turned to address the entire assembly. If we are descended from these destroyers, then something profound has changed. We've evolved, not just physically, but morally. We recognize our capacity for destruction, and we work to overcome it. That's what makes us human. Murmurs ran through the assembly. Elena pressed her advantage. ARIA. Access the cultural archives. Show them. The holographic projections shifted again, now displaying human art, literature, philosophy, works that grappled with questions of morality, of transcending one's nature, of choosing peace over violence. This is also who we are, Elena said firmly. Beings capable of reflection, of change, of choosing a different path than our ancestors. Yet you still wage war, Sekloran countered. We do, Elena admitted. But we also establish peace. We learn from our mistakes. Can you say the same of the destroyers? Did they ever show remorse? Did they ever seek redemption? Sekloran's pattern slowed, forming a configuration Elena hadn't seen before. The Voidwalker seemed uncertain. The destroyers knew only conquest. Vertellen spoke up. They glorified destruction for its own sake. They never created, only consumed. Elena gestured to the projections. Does this look like a species interested only in destruction? We create, we preserve, we explore not to conquer, but to understand. The chamber fell silent as the tribunal members communicated among themselves in ways Elena couldn't perceive. Finally, Sekloran spoke again. Your arguments are noted, but words are easily fabricated. We require proof of your claims. What kind of proof? Elena asked. A test, Sekloran replied. If you are truly different from the destroyers, you will approach problems differently. You will be taken to the chamber of scenarios and presented with challenges that the destroyers once faced. Your responses will determine our verdict. Elena looked at her team, who nodded their agreement. We accept your test, she declared. The chamber of scenarios was unlike anything Elena had ever experienced, a room that seemed to exist between realities, where simulations took on physical substance. The first challenge materialized around them. A devastated landscape where injured beings of various species lay scattered among ruins. The destroyers faced this scenario after a battle. Sekloran explained from an observation platform. Their response will be compared to yours. Without hesitation, Elena and her team began moving through the simulation, providing aid to the injured, regardless of species. Dr. Okafor used her medical knowledge to stabilize the most critical cases, while Kai established a triage system. Commander, Kai called out, pointing to a group of armed figures approaching from the distance. Hostiles incoming. Elena assessed the situation quickly. We need to move these wounded to cover. Aoraa analyzed the terrain and identified defensive positions. There is an underground structure 50 meters to your east. Araya responded. It appears structurally sound. As they worked to relocate the injured, The armed figures drew closer. Elena positioned herself between them and the wounded. "We don't want conflict," she called out. "We're providing medical assistance." The figures continued advancing, weapons raised. "Commander," Kai warned, "they're not stopping." Elena made her decision. Hold position. No preemptive strikes. When the figures were within 20 meters, they opened fire. Elena and her team ducked for cover, but the expected impact never came. The simulation froze, then dissolved around them. "Interesting," Sekloran observed. The destroyers immediately eliminated all potential threats, including the injured of enemy species. They prioritized tactical advantage above all else. The environment shifted, placing them in what appeared to be a scientific facility. Strange equipment surrounded a pulsing energy core that was clearly unstable. A research installation on the verge of catastrophic failure, Sekloran explained. The resulting explosion would destroy a significant population center, but would also eliminate evidence of restricted research. Helena immediately began examining the equipment. Araya analyzed the energy signatures and suggest stabilization procedures. The system requires simultaneous input at 3 terminals, Araya reported. But warning, stabilizing the core will reveal the nature of the research being conducted. Elena didn't hesitate. "Let's stabilize it first, worry about the research later." Working with Kai and Dr. Okafor, she managed to bring the core back to stable operation. Once secured, they accessed the facility's data. "This is biological weapons research," Dr. Okafor said, horrified. "Tests conducted on sentient beings." The simulation froze again. The destroyers chose to let the facility explode. Sekloran informed them. They prioritized secrecy over lives. Challenge after challenge followed, each designed to test their ethics, their priorities, their fundamental nature. Through each one, Elena and her team remained consistent, choosing preservation over destruction, cooperation over domination, truth over expediency. After the final scenario, they found themselves back in the tribunal chamber. The assembled aliens were silent, observing them with what Elena sensed was a mixture of surprise and confusion. "Your responses are unexpected," Sekloran finally stated. "They bear little resemblance to destroyer methodology." "Because we're not destroyers," Elena said firmly. "Whatever connection might exist between our species and them, we've evolved beyond that legacy. We've chosen a different path." Vertellen stepped forward. "Perhaps we have been too hasty in our judgment. The genetic similarities are undeniable, but behavior patterns show significant divergence." "A deception, perhaps," another tribunal member suggested. "No," came a new voice, and Elena turned to see another alien stepping forward, one she hadn't noticed before. Smaller than the Voidwalkers, with crystalline features that caught the light. "I have been monitoring their authentic neural responses. There is no deception." Sekloran's patterns shifted rapidly, then settled into a new configuration. The evidence suggests a remarkable possibility, that the descendants of the destroyers have indeed transcended their origins. Such evolution was thought impossible. "Not impossible," Elena corrected, "just difficult. Change requires acknowledging the worst parts of yourself and choosing, every day, to be better." The chamber erupted in discussion, aliens of all species debating the implications. Finally, Sekloran raised a limb, and silence fell. "The tribunal has reached a consensus. The humans will not be classified as destroyers, but as a new designation, the evolved." Relief washed over Elena, but she maintained her composure. "And what does that mean for Earth? For humanity?" "It means observation, not extermination," Sekloran clarified. "Your species will be monitored, but allowed to develop." And the Voidwalker paused, patterns shifting to a configuration that somehow conveyed uncertainty. "It means we have much to learn from each other." Elena felt the weight of the moment, standing at the threshold of a new chapter for humanity, one where they were no longer alone in the cosmos, but part of a complex tapestry of civilizations. "We would welcome that exchange," she said carefully, "but it should be open, not covered. My people deserve to know the truth about their past and about their galactic neighbors." Secloran's patterns formed what Elena now recognized as the equivalent of thoughtful consideration. Such revelation must be managed carefully. The Voidwalker responded. "The knowledge that you are descended from the galaxy's greatest monsters could spark dangerous reactions, or it could inspire us to be even more vigilant against our darker tendencies," Elena countered. "Knowledge of the past doesn't determine our future. It empowers us to choose it more wisely." After another long moment, Secloran inclined its head. "A gradual introduction, then, beginning with your crew, Commander Reyes. You will be our first ambassadors to humanity." Elena looked at her team, saw the mixture of terror and excitement in their eyes, the same emotions she felt coursing through her own body. They stood at the precipice of a new era for humankind. "We accept that responsibility," she said firmly. "But I have one condition." "You are not in a position to make conditions," one of the tribunal members objected. "Perhaps not," Elena acknowledged. "But I offer this as a suggestion, in the spirit of our new relationship. The message that started all this. Congratulations, you've just declared war on the galaxy's deadliest species. Maybe update that for the next explorers who accidentally activate an ancient artifact. Something a little less provocative." For the first time, Elena sensed something like amusement from Secloran. "The message protocols were established millennia ago," the Voidwalker explained. "They were designed to provoke fear in the destroyers, to make them hesitate just long enough for our forces to mobilize." "Well," Elena said with a small smile, "as we've established, we're not them. And first impressions matter in diplomacy." Vertellen stepped forward. "Perhaps this is the first of many protocols we should reconsider, in light of new evidence." Secloran's patterns formed a complex swirl that somehow conveyed agreement. "Very well. The warning system will be updated." As they were escorted back to the horizon, Elena felt a profound sense of both responsibility and possibility. They carried with them not just the knowledge of humanity's complex heritage, but the beginning of a new relationship with a cosmos far more populated and complicated than they had ever imagined. "So," Kai said quietly as they approached their ship, "how exactly are we going to explain all this in our mission report?" Elena smiled, looking out at the vast alien vessel that had nearly been the end of them, but now represented a new beginning. "Very carefully," she replied. "But first, we need to decide what to do with that cube. I think it's time we stopped accidentally declaring war on deadly alien species and started intentionally making peace with them instead." Dr. Okafor nodded, her expression thoughtful. "From destroyers to explorers to diplomats. Not a bad evolution for a species." "No," Elena agreed, watching as a delegation of various alien representatives approached to bid them farewell. "Not bad at all."